Hudnall,
Yeah.
registered nurse at Purdue Farms.
Yes, and I'm Tiffany Calvert, the Family Consumer Science Extension Agent here in Hartford. And I'm really excited about today's lesson, Angie. This is kind of like my wheelhouse.
This is your world, for sure.
Yes, so tell us what we're going to be learning today.
So today we're going to learn how to eat well, how to build a healthy meal, and the items that are in each food group.
Okay. All right, so what should we start with?
So we're going to start with the non-starchy vegetables, and we want about half a plate, right?
All right, so just out of the examples that we have for you today to look at, we have some romaine lettuce. That's a non-starchy vegetable. We have this pretty tomato. We've got some broccoli, and we've got some carrots. And there are more non-starchy vegetables, but these are just some examples, and look how colorful that is.
That is very colorful.
That's very, very pretty. So half of your plate should be non-starchy vegetables.
So Tiffany, what if it's just like broccoli on there?
Then just have more broccoli.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine. But variety is the key when it comes to eating healthy. Variety meaning different food groups, and also variety meaning different colors. I always tell people to try to encourage you to make a colorful plate, because each one of the colors, whether you're talking about your fruits or your vegetables, offer different nutrients. So it's really important that you don't just eat green.
Okay.
But green is healthy.
Green is very healthy.
Yes.
And so then we also have the grains and starchy foods.
Yes.
So when will we incorporate those?
All right, so your grains might include a tortilla shell, whole wheat bread, because we're going to prefer whole wheat over just regular white.
Okay.
I've got a bowl of oatmeal here. Spaghetti. Have you ever heard of spaghetti squash?
I have.
Okay, so if spaghetti is kind of like a staple in your home, I would highly encourage you to replace the spaghetti, which is a grain, with spaghetti squash, which is a really healthy, nutritious vegetable. And so that would be a good replacement for that. And then we have some squash, which is starchy, and then we have some rice, which is a grain. We have mashed potatoes, and you want to know what I do in my home? If you've ever eaten mashed potatoes in my home, it was not just potatoes. So a lot of times I will throw in some cauliflower.
Good idea.
Or I will simply boil some squash and throw it in there, and once it's smashed up, it's a slightly different color. But hey, my kids don't expect anything different. That's what their mashed potatoes are. Another starchy vegetable would be some green peas. We got some yams here. And once again, that's pretty colorful. It's not saying that you should avoid these things, you just need less of them.
So it says 1/4. So what is that if I'm looking on my plate?
So if on your plate, if half of it's like an invisible line. You just want to imagine that a line comes from the top straight down to the bottom. And so half of your plate is going to be your non-starchy. I mean, just completely full of non-starchy. Half of your plate. Okay? So then 1/4 of the other half, okay, or half of the other half, is going to be your starchy or your grain. Okay? And so then that leaves us with 1/4. So
I can do starchy or grain. Okay.
Yep, and you can do a mixture of that.
Now then it says another 1/4 of your plate needs to be protein foods.
Okay. All right, so the last little section of your plate, this 1/4 right here, needs to be protein foods. And so that would include, of course, chicken. I know you're real familiar with this one.
That's right. Purdue chicken is the best.
Yes, and then we've got some almonds. You know, think outside the box. It doesn't have to be chicken, pork, beef. It can come in nuts or seeds.
Yes.
And then eggs. That's my favorite go-to protein. And then I also have an example of some almond butter here.
Very good
A lot of times I have this for breakfast. You know, toast up some whole wheat bread, slab some almond butter on it or some peanut butter with some local honey, And then
that sounds
match
good.
that with a smoothie, a green smoothie, and that's like the most powerful breakfast you can get.
Oh.
But you know what? Most people, the biggest mistake in eating comes in this quarter of your plate, because people don't understand this right here. I mean, this is pretty tiny. This is a serving. This is 3 ounces of meat.
Wow.
This is 1 serving. This
So
is
like
what you need.
a deck of cards?
Yes, yes. So yeah, exactly. They also say that the protein shouldn't be any wider, taller, thicker than a deck of cards. So kind of what you want to imagine if you open this box up is to be able to completely stuff your protein down inside this box.
Wow, that's a lot less protein than I was thinking.
Yes. So usually in one meal, we can overdo it on the protein for the day.
So how do I know if I'm getting enough vegetables?
All right, so the baseball, I almost call this a tennis ball, but you are well aware that this is a baseball.
Yes.
So a cup of vegetables is the whole baseball.
Okay.
Okay, so depending on the size of an apple, you know, this is approximately 1 cup, but now I've been to the grocery and have bought apples that are way bigger than this.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so that would be more than a cup. So that's when you have to be really careful with your portions. And then a half a cup, of course, would be just a half of a baseball. And so this half of a grapefruit,
Okay.
you know, this is pretty big. So I would say that this is more than a cup.
So we're taught as children that we need so many servings of fruit and vegetables. So how much is a serving of those? Is it a cup? Or?
It's a cup.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. And so this would be approximately 1 cup of
So that
broccoli.
would be 1 serving of my vegetable that I need for the day.
Exactly.
Okay.
And a little bit later on, when we talk about more like tracking your food and what you're consuming, it's kind of difficult to get that 5 servings of fruits and vegetables in a day,
It is.
unless you're just consciously thinking about it and really striving to get there. And so that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit later on.
Okay, well, what about the milk? Where's the milk fit in?
And the milk is generally up here when it comes to the My Plate in your drink. And then just a cup of milk would be a serving. So you can see this is a relatively small glass. You know, as compared to what you might have in your kitchen. If we were to fill this completely full, that would be too much dairy.
Absolutely.
Too many servings for that meal.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so, you know, while we're talking about drinks, what are some drinks that you have in your home?
We always carry milk.
Yes.
We always have juice. I like to keep the pineapple juice because I do the smoothies.
Yes.
My son and I love apple cider. We always try to get it natural from like Jackson's Orchard because they just put the apples
Oh,
in
no,
there.
it's so good.
It is very good. We don't ever buy pop or Kool-Aid or anything like that. Honestly, we drink a lot of water at my house.
What do you have in your water today?
This is just frozen pineapples. I just throw this in there. Of course, my ice is melted now, but I put ice in it, and I put frozen pineapples, and then more ice, and then I fill it up with water, and then I shook it up really good, and then the ice beats that juice out of it, and it's still water, but it gives me a little bit of vitamin C from the pineapples, and it's that flavor. And you know, those flavor packets, they're not.
Yeah, they're
not
often
good for you.
Yeah, they often have added sugars and dyes and things like that in them. So sticking with plain water is definitely a healthier option. And to drink lots of water. I remind my kids all the time, your body is mostly made of water. So I'll ask my 7-year-old, what's going to happen to you if you go all day today and not drink any water? Of course, his answer is, I'll get sick. You know, because I tell him all the time, if we don't eat good, if we don't drink our water, then we're going to end up getting sick. And so this morning for my drink, I have decaffeinated tea, and it's a hot tea. And then, of course, I sweetened it with honey. And then I also added some lemon.
Local honey, I would say.
Local honey.
Which is better.
And then some lemon.
Awesome. I bet that's pretty good.
It is, it is. And so, you know, our house is like your house. We don't bring in the Cokes because if they're sitting there, guess what?
They're going to get drank.
They're going to get drank. My kids are going to beg me for them. It's going to be a struggle. And then whatever we have in the home, home is what we eat and what we drink. So I just don't even bring it into my home.
That's right. So what about the fruit? I mean, how do we know what our serving size of those are?
Okay.
Let's talk about the fruit.
Yes, so typically a serving for a banana, based on the size, there are smaller and larger bananas. A half of a banana would be a serving. Check out these strawberries. Now I know the strawberries in the stores right now are typically larger
Way
than
bigger.
this, yes. And so again, we're just comparing it to the baseball. And so this would be probably a half.
Okay.
You know, a half of a serving. And so we've also got some yummy blackberries here.
Yes.
Do you go blackberry picking?
I haven't in years.
We love that.
I haven't in years.
Check out these raspberries.
Those are pretty good. My daughter loves those.
Yes. And then grapes. And you know, a lot of the fruits in my home, if before they go bad, I freeze them. My kids love to eat frozen grapes.
Oh yeah.
And so that's
You've
a
introduced
good.
me to that. They're very good.
Yeah, that's a good replacement for popsicles. You know,
Good
on a hot
idea.
summer
Good
day.
idea. Yeah.
And frozen pineapple is really good too.
Yes, I
love
love.
that.
I like the frozen pineapple, but I use those in the smoothies. Now I have to take you. I give you all the credit for the smoothies. I'm one of those people. We're constantly busy, but at the end of the day, I don't know if it's because I need that last minute. And I don't. I know the caffeine's going to keep me up all night, and I want ice cream. I want that creamy, that sweet, that texture. If I start with that smoothie and has those fruits in it, that fruit, of course, it's all pulverized and it's
and
smooth
then you get that
and
natural
creamy.
sweet.
Yes, and it's the same thing. And I've not craved ice cream since I started it. Because when I crave it, then I just make me a smoothie and I'm good to go. And I've just ate nothing but a bunch of fruit.
So a good ice cream replacement, whether it's for yourself or your kids, is freezing bananas,
Yes.
and then you just throw them in a blender. Sometimes you have to add like a little bit of milk, almond milk, whatever your milk is of choice, to make it thin enough to blend, but it's just like ice cream. It's cold.
It's really good.
It's creamy. It's sweet because the banana is naturally sweet, and so that's a really good idea for ice cream replacement.
And it's really, really good for you.
All right, so some of the challenges we might run across. I know you've heard some excuses before in the past.
Yeah.
I hear them all the time. So
The number one thing I hear whenever I tell people is it costs too much.
It does. So how to overcome that challenge would be, first of all, not to let the food that you've purchased and that you've spent your money on go bad. Okay, so that's where you can keep an eye out on your fruits before they ruin, freeze them. The same thing for spinach and kale that I use in my smoothies. I'll have it, fresh in the refrigerator for a time period for salads. And you can make a smoothie with fresh room temperature spinach, or you can make a smoothie with frozen spinach.
Oh,
And so
okay.
I also put that in the freezer before it goes bad. And then just buying things in bulk and then portioning, everything out. Especially
Now,
with
don't you use the
your-
baggies? I've seen you use the baggies.
I do. I use a lot of baggies. There's no telling what I'll have in my purse if you ever see me out and about, especially if I have my kids or my husband with me. It's kind of like I have 3 kids.
Right.
When I really only have 2 under the age of 18. Figure that one out. Because they just get hungry like so often. And so it may be some granola in a baggie, but I also carry a lot of just mason jars, the quart size, the jelly jars, and I already have my fruit washed, cut up, prepared, and in those jars. So when
That's
the
a good
kids
idea.
are screaming in the back seat, begging for me to stop at a fast food restaurant, then I just pull something out of my purse. So I know you're at the ballpark a lot.
We're at the ballpark quite a bit. And right now I have like granola bars in the car, and that's a much healthier choice than
Yes.
grabbing candy bars and
Yes.
things. Or we'll do sandwiches in the pack, or we'll use these. And of course, I work at Purdue, so we have lots of chicken, and we'll roast the chicken and then pre-package, pre-roll those up and put whatever we like, spinach, the baby spinach, because it doesn't have that harshness. My kids will eat it; it doesn't bother them whatsoever. Roll those up and just roll those in paper towels, and we put them in the soft pack, and when we're ready to go, we just grab it and go. And then it's not, Mom, I'm starving. I need to you feel bad because you didn't feed your kids.
Yeah. I know, right? So, have you ever heard parents say to their children, well, don't eat that, you're going to ruin your meal?
Oh, yeah. I remember those
Well,
times.
if my kids had a candy bar in their hand, I might say that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if my kids are snacking on something healthy, I don't care what time of day it is. We could be in the truck on the way to go eat somewhere, knowing that it's probably not going to be as healthy as what we would have at home.
Right.
And I will be handing them cuties or bananas or some trail mix or, some nuts and seeds, whatever I have that's healthy while they're hungry. So, you know what? If they leave a few extra French fries and don't eat them, then that's a win.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that whole philosophy of don't eat that, it'll ruin your meal, it's not really the case. A lot of people have more success eating smaller meals, 5 small meals throughout the day versus 3 big ones.
Right.
Because how many times have you gone home and before you can get supper on the table, it's like you're just caving in, starving
to death. Yes.
And you find yourself kind of snacking as you cook.
Absolutely.
I do that often. And so as long as you're snacking on something healthy, go for it.
Absolutely.
I see this applesauce here, and that reminds me. The unsweetened applesauce in the containers that doesn't have to be stored in the refrigerator is a good snack option.
Oh, yeah.
Just be sure to pack your spoons. My kids have had to do the shakedown before because I forgot to pack their spoons, but whatever works.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, and also make sure you're buying in season, the fresh.
Yes.
And that will definitely decrease the price. I've seen, apples go from $3 to, less than $1 a pound.
Yeah.
So it's
In
a big
some
deal.
cases, it can actually cut the price in half.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, the farmer's market has definitely in season and local fruits and vegetables, and that runs from May to typically October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's over here at the Beaver Dam Park.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And I know they had some over the winter in the Artist Guild.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to show everybody this real quick. If you're at the ballpark, I would suggest going ahead and sticking with the wrap. But if you're at home, and the reason why I say that is sometimes it doesn't hold all your stuff, but you can actually use romaine lettuce in place of a wrap. And a lot of times our fish tacos that we have at home, we'll use the romaine lettuce.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. Another good idea.
Yeah. And so I know time is another factor. It's kind of like cost and time goes hand in hand when it comes to
they overlap.
Meal planning. And so I wanted to show you this grocery list, and I keep several copies of this. And so on the left hand side I have Sunday through Saturday, and I write the meals for dinner that my family is planning on having.
So if you have a game on Wednesday,
Then you know what I do? I put game on Wednesday. And I'll actually write that on my meal planning schedule. So a lot of times for my family, because we're not yet into the ball game season, Wednesday has to be a crock pot meal because it has to be ready as soon as I walk through the door at home because we have church on Wednesday nights.
Yes.
And so I'll make sure that Wednesday is a crock pot meal. And sometimes, when you're planning ahead, you're going to save a lot of money and time because on Tuesday after dinner, depending on what my crock pot meal is for Wednesday, I could go ahead and do a lot of my washing and chopping ahead of time. And then I can have that crock pot meal already in the crock, sitting in the refrigerator.
Oh my goodness, what a great idea.
Wednesday morning is turn it on.
You're preparing it Tuesday for Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And it saves a lot of waste. And this grocery list is nothing special. I actually created my own because the staples that you keep in your home may be completely different than what I keep in mine. And so I created this myself. And the categories that I broke this down in is where to find different items within the grocery store.
Oh, that's a good idea.
To save me time.
There you go.
Have you ever made a list and then it's like you're almost done and then that one item you forgot is in the refrigerated section completely
on the other side of the grocery store? Yes, absolutely.
So I've broken it down into frozen, fresh produce, canned
That's a
food
great
items and just kind of mapping out how the store is laid out.
Very good idea.
And then something else that sometimes I use is this. And this allows my family, because I post this on the refrigerator, to know what's going on and what to expect. Because one of the worst questions that I get, and it just gets underneath my skin, is when I get home, instead of, "Hi Mom, how are you? How did your day go?" It's, "What's for dinner? What's for supper? I'm hungry." And so it's on there. But this is a dry erase. And so when Tatum gets a hold of it and he erases it, you need to make sure, you know, if your kids either can't reach it or you have it written down somewhere else. Because that's happened to me before.
Awesome.
Yes, most definitely.
I love that idea because I even get phone calls at work. What are we having for supper?
I know. Yeah.
And it's 3 o'clock.
A text message to my phone before I'm even like off from work.
You know, another problem that I have is on Thursday, somebody wants me to run by the grocery store to pick up something.
You know what? The grocery store through the week is almost like a Yeah, because by the time you finish at the grocery store and get home, you're already too hungry. I've literally tried that before, and then we get home and I have this idea of what I want to fix, and then I'm too tired and I'm too hungry, and we just go out to eat. Yeah.
I do the same thing.
Yeah. So you've been there. You know how it is.
Yes.
So planning ahead is the key. I mean, you just have to plan ahead and know what you have in your home. And that's what I like about the grocery list, you know?
I like that.
And meal planning, I could put all my dinners down, and then I could go back and check what do I already have in my home. So you're
Great
not at
idea.
the grocery store having to call spouse and saying, "Check in the cabinet to see if we have this."
I've done that.
Which is a
How
lot
many
of
gallons of milk do we have in
Yeah.
the fridge?
Yeah, a lot of wasted time when it comes to that.
Yeah.
A lot of wasted time. So we hope that these ideas that we've shared with you will help you to better plan your meals and to eat better. It's a learning experience.
For all of us.
It is, and it takes a lot of planning ahead. That's the main key, and I hope that's what you got out of this. And again, I just want to say that the biggest mistakes that people make is overdoing it on the protein and drinks. You know,
Drinks.
that's where a lot of people are drinking their sugar and their caffeine.
Yeah. A lot of empty calories in there.
So just one step at a time. If you don't change anything this week in your house, but getting rid of sodas, then that's a step in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That'll improve your health.
Yep. And so, and both Angie and I can help you further with this in your journey, and we hope that we have shared some ideas and some tips that you'll pick up and use in the future.